Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, our mission is all about building that perfect engine, really, to master American English listening.
Yeah.
If you're a learner, you definitely know this scenario. You study the vocab, you know the grammar rules. But then native speakers start talking full speed. Maybe it's that rapid fire chat in a coffee shop, on the East Coast, or trying to follow technical jargon in a West Coast meeting.
Right.
Suddenly it doesn't feel like English anymore. It's just noise, a blur. We call it the cacophony.
It's so common.
You might catch the general drift, the melody perhaps, but all the details, the actual meaning, lost.
And it's incredibly frustrating. We've talked before about the tools you need, those fundamentals, chunk listening, recognizing common word groups as single units.
Right, those phrases that just go together.
Exactly. And repetition, that strategic practice you need to really burn those chunks into your memory. These are your instruments.
Okay.
But, even the best musicians need a conductor. They need a score to follow if they're going to play together perfectly.
Okay. So that's what we're doing today, providing the score.
That's the plan. We're talking about the essential structure, the non-negotiable daily listening routine. That's your conductor, your score.
Okay, let's really unpack this, because our goal isn't just to say what to do. We want to get into the why, the science, the practical reasons behind it. We're laying out why that consistent routine is just essential for real progress. And then we'll give you a detailed but flexible framework.
Flexible is key, based on your time, your interests, your current level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is how you take those isolated practice bits and turn them into, well, like you said, a sustained daily chorus of improvement, moving from just random effort to something rhythmic, continuous. I think the biggest mistake, the one we see all the time, is that sporadic effort thing.
Oh, yeah.
Someone gets super motivated, right? Maybe for a trip or an exam coming up.
The classic cram session.
Exactly. They listen for like 3 hours straight on a Sunday, total burnout. And then
nothing. Radio silence until the next weekend, maybe.
It's like trying to run a marathon by only training once every 10 days. Or a musician practicing like crazy once, then ignoring their instrument. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't build the endurance, and more importantly, it doesn't build that neurological structure. The need for routine isn't just about discipline, it's biology.
Yeah.
Psychology, too.
Okay, let's start with the biology then. The neural pathway development and maintenance. You're saying listening is like exercise for the brain.
It really is. Think about it. Consistent listening is physical exercise for the language processing parts of your brain.
So what's happening scientifically? Why is doing it often better than doing a lot all at once?
Okay, so when you learn a new pattern, like hearing gonna and knowing it's going to, your brain fires specific neurons. It creates a pathway.
Got it.
Now, if you hit that pathway really hard for 3 hours, then leave it unused for, say, 3-4 days. Your brain basically goes, guess that wasn't important after all.
Forgets.
Not quite forgets, but the connections, the synapses, they start to weaken. It's a process called synaptic pruning. The brain cleans up pathways it thinks aren't needed.
So the brain is efficient. If you don't use it, you lose it, essentially.
Pretty much. But consistent, frequent exposure, even short bursts, like 15 minutes daily, does 2 critical things. First, it keeps that pathway active, tells the brain, hey, this is important.
Yeah.
Second, it helps thicken the protective myelin sheath around that connection. That's called myelination.
Myelin, like insulation on a wire.
Exactly like insulation. More myelin means the signal travels faster, clearer, more automatically. Routine tells your brain these language pathways are essential, high-priority routes. Comprehension gets quicker, requires less effort over time.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about memorizing words. We're physically wiring our brains for speed and clarity.
You got it. And that connects directly to the psychological side. Habit formation versus motivation.
Motivation, the unreliable friend.
Totally unreliable. It's an emotion. It changes with your sleep, your stress levels, your mood. You can't count on it day to day.
That routine.
Routine is steadfast. It's dependable. When you make listening a small daily habit, maybe 15 minutes while you do the dishes, like you said, you skip the whole internal debate.
That, do I have to listen today feeling.
Exactly. You replace that. A good routine demands that you listen to different accents, dialects, sociolects, different conversational styles, fast talkers, slow talkers, formal, informal.
Let's clarify sociolect for listeners. It's not just about where someone's from.
Right. It's about the language used by a particular social group or community. Think about the specific jargon in Silicon Valley tech circles versus, say, military slang. or the language used in specific urban communities. It's shaped by social factors, not just geography.
And we absolutely have to mention AAVE.
Definitely. African American Vernacular English. It's a vital and distinct sociolect. A whole system with its own grammar, its own pronunciation patterns.
Patterns you hear everywhere in American culture. Music, movies.
Everywhere. And if your ear isn't tuned into the rhythm and the specific sounds of AAVE, you're missing out on understanding a huge chunk of American communication. A solid routine makes sure you actively seek out this kind of diversity. You need a flexible ear.
So the goal isn't just generic English comprehension. It's understanding American English in all its messy, wonderful variety.
That's the goal. And the routine also allows for targeted skill development. You can't maintain intense focus for hours.
Oh my.
A routine lets you plan specific time slots. Okay, this is my passive listening time, just absorbing the rhythm. This is my focus time hunting for chunks, really concentrating. And this is my active listening time, digging into deeper meaning. You need all three. Only a routine lets you balance them.
And the last point here, the psychological comfort.
Yeah, the reduced cognitive overwhelm. The idea of improving my English listening feels huge. It's daunting. It can cause serious anxiety.
I believe it.
But when you break it down into these small routine-based steps, okay, today I just need to do movement 2, my 15-minute chunk session. It feels manageable. It lowers the pressure. You get these small daily wins, and that builds real confidence. It pulls all your strategies together into one system that actually works.
Okay, so the routine is the structure. Now let's talk rules of engagement, the core principles for designing a routine that works. These are like the conductor's instructions for the orchestra. Where do we start?
With the one we keep hammering home.
Yeah.
1, consistency over intensity. The little and often rule.
Right.
I really can't say it enough.
Yeah.
Short, frequent sessions.
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes a day. Way, way better than a 2-hour marathon once a week. You've got to feed those neural pathways daily.
Let's use Maria in Atlanta as an example. She really nailed this, didn't she?
She's a perfect case study. Busy person, full-time job, trying to find an extra hour after work. Forget it. Wasn't happening.
So what does she do?
She looked at her existing structure, her commute, 25 minutes each way. That's 50 minutes guaranteed every single weekday.
Okay. Built-in time.
Exactly. Non-negotiable slots. Morning commute, local Atlanta news radio, getting her ear used to that Southern American English pace, the local rhythm. Evening commute, an industry podcast related to her job.
And the key was she didn't have to decide each day.
Zero decision fatigue. Starting the car was the trigger. The habit was automatic, and because she did it every day, her brain adapted incredibly quickly to that regional speed and sound.
The power of the trigger. Love it. Okay, principle 2. True. Variety is the spice of auditory life. Just listening to one person, that's a dead end.
Lead straight to an auditory plateau. Your brain gets comfy with one clear, slow voice, and then the real world hits you like a ton of bricks.
Right.
You have to consciously mix it up. Different accents, different speeds, different topics, different levels of formality. Think about John, the curious explorer in Chicago. His weekly plan is like a deliberate tour of American sounds.
Walk us through John's week.
Okay, Monday. Slow, steady Midwestern farming podcast. Tuesday. Flips completely.
Yeah.
Fast-talking West Coast tech news forces him to handle jargon and speed. Wednesday, Southern storytelling, focusing on those colloquial phrases, the flow. Thursday, amps it up. Boston sports radio debate, rapid fire back and forth, strong regional accent. Friday, New York comedy, humor, urban dialect.
Wow, he's basically forcing his ear to become multilingual within American English.
That's exactly it. Constant flexibility training for his ears.
Okay, principle 3 often trips people up. 3, balance active and passive listening. Let me play devil's advocate. If I just have a podcast on while I'm cooking, isn't that just background noise? Is it really helping?
It's a fair question, and the answer depends on your goal for that session. If you're trying to actively identify specific words or chunks while your main focus is dicing onions, yeah, probably not effective. They serve different purposes.
Okay, so break it down. Active versus passive.
Active listening is the focused work. That's when you're concentrating, maybe using a transcript, identifying chunks, analyzing meaning, learning vocab. High mental effort.
Got it.
Passive listening, like Jessica the multitasker in Dallas, listening to her true crime podcast while cooking.
Yeah.
She's not trying to catch every single word. Her brain, though, her subconscious, it's absorbing the prosody.
Prosody, meaning the music of the language.
Exactly. The rhythm, the stress patterns, the intonation, the natural pauses, the overall flow. It's soaking up the soundscape of American speech. It makes the language feel familiar on a deeper level.
So passive listening, primes the pump, almost. Trains the brain's rhythm recognition.
You could say that. It creates familiarity. So later, when Jessica does her active session, maybe she re-listens to a tricky 5-minute witness testimony from that same podcast. Her ear is already tuned into the general sound. Analyzing the specific chunks feels less jarring, more manageable. You absolutely need both immersion and focused analysis.
That makes the distinction much clearer.
Right.
Principle 4. 4. Personalization is power.
This one's all about sticking with it. If your routine feels like a chore, if you hate the content, you will quit. It has to connect with your actual interest, your passions, and be at the right level for you.
Makes sense.
Look at the contrast. Omar the gamer in Seattle. He learns by watching live streamers. It's fast, full of slang, but it's what he loves. He's absorbing language used by his interest group without even feeling like he's studying. Then you have Sarah the foodie in New Orleans. She follows American cooking shows, food bloggers. She's picking up culinary terms, commands, descriptions, all while doing something she enjoys planning or making meals. Both are building strong listening skills, but the personalized content keeps them coming back.
Which leads right into 5. Integration into daily life. The seamless fit. Don't make it an extra burden.
Precisely. Weave it into things you already do. Attach it to existing habits. That removes the friction. Think about Michael the fitness fanatic in Denver.
Okay.
His morning run, non-negotiable. He pairs it with a motivational podcast, his stretching routine afterward. Paired with a quick news briefing, he uses the existing triggers, lacing up his shoes, starting his stretches to automatically kick off his listening practice. It just becomes part of the flow of his day, effortless.
Okay, final principle. 6. Set clear, achievable goals, especially for that active listening time.
Absolutely. Active listening without a specific target is like wandering aimlessly. You need a purpose. Laura, the goal setter in Boston, prepping for the TOEFL exam. She gets this.
TOEFL test of English as a foreign language. Big deal for many learners.
Huge deal. Her weekly goals are super specific. Monday, listen to a practice lecture, identify 5 new academic vocabulary words. Tuesday, focus only on telling the difference between similar sounding words like affect and effect in a business news report. Friday, listen to a 3-minute discussion, then summarize the main points accurately. Test comprehension.
And she logs this.
Yes. She keeps track. Those specific measurable goals give her tangible proof she's moving forward.
All right, we've got the structure, the principles. Let's get practical. Let's map out a potential day, the specific movements of this listening symphony, showing how active and passive work together.
Okay, movement 1. This is your gentle start to the day, usually passive listening, maybe 15 to 30 minutes while you're doing other things, making coffee, getting dressed, low pressure.
And the goal here isn't catching every detail.
Not at all. The goal is gentle immersion. Just absorb the rhythm, catch the main idea, the gist. It's about setting the stage, getting your brain into English mode.
So content like news summaries, local radio.
Perfect. NPR's up first, the daily, local news, maybe a casual talk show. Think about Sarah in New York City listening to the daily while she makes breakfast.
Yeah.
Her goal is not to understand every nuance of the political debate.
Just the headline, the overall feeling.
Exactly. What's the main topic? What's the general sentiment? But importantly, even passively, she's getting crucial exposure.
Exposure to what specifically?
To native speed, natural intonation, and all that specific American political jargon you hear constantly. Bipartisan bill, filibuster, executive order, maybe gerrymandering.
Things you just have to hear a lot to get used to.
Right. Passive listening makes those complex high-frequency chunks start to sound familiar. So when she encounters them later in a more focused session, they're less intimidating. Yeah. It's a low-stress way to flip that English switch on.
Okay, now we shift gears. Movement 2. Midday cadenza. This sounds more intense.
It is. This is your active, high-focus session. Short, probably 15 minutes max. Maybe during a lunch break or a dedicated coffee break. This is where you actively practice chunk listening.
The goal is really specific here.
Surgical even. Identify chunks,
Right.
repeat them, expand your vocabulary based on the context. We need short, challenging content, ideally with transcripts, TED Ed lessons, explainer videos, difficult podcast segments.
Let's go back to David, the history buff in Philly, analyzing that dense bit about the U.S. Constitution.
Right. He has that methodical 4-step process during his lunch break.
Remind us of the steps, especially step 3, the repetition part. Why is slowing it down so useful?
Okay. Step 1, first listen. Just normal speed, no text. Just get the main idea. What's this about?
Okay.
Step 2, second listen, chunk identification. Listen again, maybe with subtitles this time. Pause often. Hunt for those meaningful phrases. For his history topic, he's logging things like founding fathers, tyranny of the crown, inalienable rights, ratify the Constitution. He writes them down.
Got it. Now, step 3, third, listen. Repetition shadowing. This is the key part.
This is where the deep learning of sounds happens. David takes those sentences with his target chunks, the really dense ones, and he slows the playback speed down. Maybe to 0.75x?
Why slow?
Because native speakers blend sounds like crazy. It's called elision or reduction. Did you eat becomes did you eat. Going to becomes gonna. Want to becomes wanna.
That blending is what makes it sound like a blur to learners.
Exactly. Slowing it down lets David actually hear the individual sounds within those blends. He can hear the transition. Then comes shadowing.
Mimicking the speaker.
Yes. He tries to copy the speaker's exact pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation. He might whisper it or speak along softly. This connects the sound he's hearing to the physical act of producing it. Trains the ear and the mouth.
Ah, that muscle memory connection.
It's crucial for locking in the sounds. Then finally, step 4. Fourth listen. Contextual check. Plays it one last time at normal speed. Because he's actively processed the sounds, the speed, the chunks. The whole thing sounds clearer. Those bits that were fuzzy before, they click into place.
All right, moving into the afternoon. Movement 3. The afternoon interlude sounds longer, more involved.
Yeah, this is typically a longer, dedicated study block, maybe 30, 45 minutes. The focus shifts to deeper comprehension, following complex arguments, tackling higher-level vocabulary, maybe even analyzing subtext.
We mentioned Emily in Washington, D.C. wrestling with that dense legal English.
Right. Emily needs this for her career, so she might take a 10-minute scene from a legal drama or maybe a short clip from a university lecture on contract law. Very specialized stuff.
So after she gets the gist, what's her process?
It mirrors David's a bit, but the focus is different. Step 1, gist. Step 2, detail what's the core legal issue being discussed. But step 3 is hyper-focused, jargon acquisition. She uses the transcript religiously here. She hunts for and defines those specific legal chunks. Objection, Your Honor, hearsay evidence, due process, motion to suppress, burden of proof. She doesn't just define them. She notes how they're used in context.
Building her professional vocabulary.
Yeah.
And her step 4 is really advanced analyzing tone.
Yes, tone and subtext analysis. This is pushing comprehension to the next level. She listens again, maybe without the transcript this time, focusing entirely on how things are said. The speaker's cadence, where they pause, their delivery.
What's she looking for?
She's analyzing how professionals in that field, judges, lawyers, expert witnesses, use their voice to convey authority or doubt or confidence. The slow, deliberate pace of a judge's ruling versus the rapid-fire objections during cross-examination. It's about understanding the intent behind the words, not just the words themselves.
Okay, the workday's likely done, the brain's tired. Movement 4. The evening nocturne. This sounds relaxing.
It should be. This is about winding down but keeping the exposure going. Maybe 45 to 60 minutes of listening purely for enjoyment. Low pressure, sustained exposure.
The goal is just pleasant background reinforcement.
Subconscious reinforcement, exactly. Content has to be something you genuinely enjoy. American audiobooks with good narrators are fantastic for this. Familiar movies or TV shows where you already know the plot. Even music.
We had John in New Orleans, the literature fan.
Right. John puts on an audiobook of Mark Twain or Toni Morrison while he's relaxing, maybe doing chores. Crucially, he's not stopping to look up words. If he misses something, fine, keep going.
What's the benefit of that long-form listening?
It helps consolidate grammar and vocabulary he might have actively learned earlier. And it really internalizes the rhythm and flow of longer, more complex American sentences. It builds comfort with sustained listening, letting the patterns sink in without conscious effort. Habituation.
Finally, the weekend arrives. Maybe more time, more energy. Movement 5. The weekend grand finale. Sounds like we tackled the big stuff here.
Exactly. This is for those longer, more challenging sessions when you have maybe 1 to 2 hours, long documentaries, watching a full movie actively, or diving into really specific, difficult material.
Like the Seattle sports fanatics trying to crack baseball commentary.
Oh yeah, that's a linguistic Everest for learners. It's incredibly fast, packed with jargon and idioms that make zero sense out of context. Bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, hit a frozen rope.
Completely impenetrable if you're not initiated.
Totally. So it requires a layered approach. You might start with a first viewing, pure immersion, just watch the game, enjoy the excitement.
Okay.
Then second viewing, targeted jargon. They pick a specific 15-minute segment, maybe an exciting inning, put on subtitles, and actively hunt for those baseball-specific chunks. Pause, define, understand the context, pop fly, caught a liner, sacrifice bunt, building that glossary.
Real-time vocabulary building.
Yep. Then, third viewing, repetition and context. They might slow down clips of the commentator's fastest calls, the really dense exchanges, to 0.75x speed. Practice shadowing those super reduced phrases like, he ripped that one right over the wall. Hear how it gets compressed.
Deconstructing the speed.
Exactly. And finally, maybe the most useful part for them, group discussion, active recall. They get together afterward and talk about the game, specifically trying to use the new jargon they just learned, forces active recall, reinforces it in a low-pressure social setting.
Okay, this blueprint is fantastic, very detailed, but let's be real, putting it into practice consistently, that's the hard part. We need some practical steps for execution. First up, the time audit.
You have to be honest with yourself about your actual schedule. Sit down, look at your day, where's the dead time? Commutes, chores, walking the dog, exercise time. Those are your prime passive listening slots. Then where can you carve out 15, maybe 30 minutes for focused active listening? A lunch break, right after work, before dinner. Start small. Seriously. Aiming for 45 minutes total, split across maybe 3 movements, and succeeding. That builds momentum. Aiming for 2 hours and failing. That just leads to quitting.
Good advice. Start realistically. Next, figuring out the difficulty level. We mentioned the I+1 principle. Can you define that clearly?
Yeah, I+1. It comes from linguist Stephen Krashen. Basically, input I needs to be comprehensible, but it should contain elements that are just one step +1 beyond your current level.
So not too easy, not too hard, the Goldilocks zone.
Exactly. It needs to be slightly challenging. If you understand less than, say, 50%, it's probably too hard. You'll just feel lost and frustrated. If you understand 95% or more, it's too easy. You're not stretching yourself, not growing. Find that sweet spot where you understand most of it, but there's still new things to learn.
Which requires good content curation, finding the right stuff.
Absolutely essential. For active listening, transcripts are your best friend. If you can't get a transcript for a piece of audio or video, honestly, I'd say don't use it for your active study. It's just too frustrating trying to catch everything without that support.
Where are good places to find transcribed content?
TED.com is great. Many TED Ed videos, too. Lots of major news podcasts offer transcripts. NPR, the New York Times. You have to look, but they're out there. And remember the variety rule. Actively seek out different American accents. Don't just listen to standard broadcast voices. Find Southern speakers, New England speakers. Listen to AAVE. Keep your ear flexible.
Okay, and the final execution step, keeping track. The tracking progress, conductor's logbook.
This is your motivation booster. Keep it simple. A notebook or a file. Date what you listened to, how long, what was your specific goal for that session. Identify 3 new chunks. Understand the main argument. List the new chunks you learned.
And personal reflection.
Yeah, just a quick note. Felt easier today. Struggled with the speed. Finally understood that joke about X. The Boston accent is still tough. This log gives you concrete evidence you're improving, even when it doesn't feel like it day to day. It combats that running in place feeling.
Okay, troubleshooting time. Because things will go wrong, the routine will hit bumps. Roadblock number 1, I don't have enough time. The classic time crunch.
The solution here is microsessions. We tend to think we need these big hour-long blocks. You don't. Think about that busy person in LA. Maybe they only have 3-minute gaps, waiting for the kettle to boil, walking between meetings, during a commercial break.
Use those tiny pockets.
Exactly. Have short clips ready to go. A quick news update, a 2-minute chunk you're working on. You can easily stack up 30-45 minutes of exposure throughout the day in these tiny bursts. It adds up without feeling like a huge time commitment.
Smart. Roadblock 2, I get bored or demotivated. The engagement crisis.
If you're bored, the personalization principle is feeling you. Simple as that. The fix. Be aggressive about finding stuff you genuinely find interesting, even if it's a guilty pleasure.
Like the bored accountant in Kansas City.
Perfect example. Hated listening to the news. Switched to fantasy football podcasts during his commute, true crime during chores, stuff he actually wanted to follow. Because he was engaged with the content, he naturally absorbed complex language, idioms, conversational flow without it feeling like work. Find your passion. Find the English content related to it.
Makes sense. Roadblock 3.
Yeah.
It's too hard, too easy. The difficulty dilemma. You're not in that I+1 zone.
Adjust immediately. Don't suffer through something way too hard or coast through something too easy, if it's too difficult. Slow down the playback speed. Most players allow this. Choose material with clearer, slower speech. Roll it into even smaller segments. Maybe just focus on 2-3 minutes.
And if it's too easy, for more advanced learners.
Seek out more challenging material. Don't just listen to standard news if you understand 98% of it. Find fast-paced political panel discussions. Listen to specialized academic lectures. Online universities like UC Berkeley or MIT often post them. Find content that really pushes your vocabulary and concentration.
Okay. Roadblock 4, this one's tough mentally. I don't feel like I'm making progress. The patience test.
Oh, this is a big one. Progress isn't always linear, right? You have good days, bad days. It feels like you're stuck. The absolute best antidote is the before and after test.
How does that work?
Find a short audio clip that you found really challenging, maybe one you tried to understand or transcribe a month ago. Store it somewhere. When you hit that wall of frustration, pull out that old clip and listen to it again.
Usually
You'll be shocked. You'll suddenly understand chunks you completely missed before. You'll follow the speed better. You'll catch details that were just noise a month ago. Seeing that concrete, measurable improvement you'd overlooked, it's the best way to reignite your motivation.
That's a great practical tip. Okay, final roadblock. What about burnout? The sustainability question. Pushing too hard.
Yeah, it happens. Especially if you're really ambitious, like that student in Boston trying to do 3 hours of active listening every day. That's just not sustainable for most people.
So what's the solution when you feel totally drained?
Flexibility and forgiveness. Your routine needs to bend, not break. If you're feeling truly burnt out, give yourself permission to switch gears. For a day or two, drop the active, high-effort stuff. Just do purely enjoyment-based listening music you love, a comfort movie, an easy audiobook. Or simply cut back the intensity or duration for a few days until your energy and enthusiasm return. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. The routine should support you, not stress you out. #AvTagOutro.
All right, so let's wrap up this deep dive. The big takeaway seems to be that this personalized routine, it's not just a nice-to-have schedule, it's really the core framework. It weaves together chunk listening, repetition, all that targeted practice into the actual fabric of your daily life.
Exactly. It guarantees that consistent, compounding exposure to authentic American voices. That's what moves your comprehension from feeling like, that chaotic blur.
The cacophony.
Right, the cacophony, to something much clearer, more like a symphony you can actually follow.
Your routine is the process, then, that trains your ear, not just to hear the separate sounds, the individual notes.
But to understand the whole piece.
Yeah.
The rhythm of everyday chat, the subtle differences in regional accents or social group language, the meaning hidden in tone, the specific jargon of your field or interests. It's how you go from being just a passive receiver of sound to being an active, tuned-in, discerning listener. Someone ready for pretty much any conversation or complex listening situation the American landscape can throw at you.
Okay, so here's the final thought for you, the listener, to take away from this. The ultimate goal really is moving past just translating words in your head. It's about getting to that point of intuition with the language. So you've got the blueprint now, the score, the conductor's instructions, the troubleshooting guide. The question is, what complex piece of American media are you going to choose to tackle first this week using your new personalized routine? Maybe it's that super fast sports commentary, a really dense historical lecture, maybe a comedy special from a region whose accent you find tricky. Go ahead. Design your score. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to take your source material, your questions, and really break down dense research into insight you can actually use.
And today, we're tackling something that I think resonates with almost every American English learner.
Yeah, that really specific kind of frustrating feeling, right? You're watching a show, maybe you're in a meeting, and you follow the main topic.
You get the gist. You know it's about, say, college applications or ordering breakfast or some new tech idea.
Exactly. You grasp the basics, but then
comes the nuance wall.
Right. Someone makes a joke or there's a cultural reference that just whoosh goes right over your head.
Or the conversation shifts slightly to a really subtle but important detail, and suddenly you realize, wait, I missed the feeling, the implication, the why.
It's like you said, that feeling of surviving the conversation, sure, but definitely not thriving in it. And your sources, they really highlighted this common trap learners fall into.
Yeah, the one and done approach.
You listen once, put in like 100% effort, try to force it.
And if it doesn't click right away, you think, oh, it's me, or wow, that was just way too fast.
But the research is pretty clear, isn't it? That one and done method, it doesn't work for deep understanding, especially with real fast native speech.
It fundamentally fails. And it's not about your ability. It's about the sheer cognitive load. The task is huge, And one listen just doesn't give the brain enough time or resources.
So our mission today, pulled straight from the research you sent over, is to explore this kind of counterintuitive idea.
The strategic use of repetition.
Exactly. What if the key, like the actual science-backed key to really getting it, isn't just finding more stuff to listen to,
but taking the same stuff and listening again and again, but critically, with a different focus each time.
Yeah. We're aiming to turn listening practice into a kind of echo chamber, but like a really productive one.
Right, where each echo, each replay, reveals something new. It's about layering comprehension.
Peeling back the layers, basically.
Exactly. So it's not just passive hearing anymore. It becomes active analysis. You start peeling back phonetic layers, the meaning layers, then cultural layers.
Giving you a shortcut, maybe, to being genuinely well-informed. Not just about words, but the whole context of how Americans actually communicate.
That's the goal.
Okay, so let's dig into this. First, we really need to understand why that first listen, that one and done thing, is almost set up to fail, especially with rapid American English. Let's justify the struggle.
Well, for anyone learning the language, trying to follow native speed American English it's maybe one of the most intense cognitive tasks there is. It's not relaxed at all.
Yeah.
Your brain is doing this incredible juggling act, trying to manage multiple complex things simultaneously. And that leads, almost inevitably, to cognitive overload.
In that juggling act, based on the research, it's like 6 different really intensive tasks happening all at the same time.
That's right, 6.
And I think laying these out is important. It kind of validates that feeling of exhaustion, why you only catch maybe 60-70% on the first go.
Absolutely. It's like running a 6-ring circus in your head while juggling. Something's bound to drop.
Okay, so what's the first task?
The absolute foundation, phonetic decoding.
Yeah.
Your brain is desperately trying to take this continuous stream of sound.
Right, just noise initially.
And figure out where words begin and end, what specific sounds or foams are actually being used. And American English is tough here. Subtle vowel differences, lots of consonant reductions.
That's a key point, isn't it? Like, if your first language has one clear A sound, and suddenly you hit American English with its cat versus caught distinction in some accent.
Your brain scrambles.
Yeah.
It has to make these fine distinctions that might be totally irrelevant in your native language.
And that uses up processing power right away before you even get to the meaning.
Instantly. And right after that, task 2 kicks in. Lexical access.
Okay, so finding the word's meaning.
Yeah, it's like a super fast memory search. You hear bank, is the money place, the river edge, tilting a plane, a name. Your brain has to check its mental dictionary in milliseconds for every single word.
Wow. Okay, task 3.
Syntactic parsing. Now you're figuring out the grammar. How do these words fit together? Subject, verb, object, tense.
The structure of the sentence.
Exactly. You need that structure instantly to see the relationships. Miss one little preposition or tense marker, and the whole thing can fall apart.
Which leads into task 4.
Semantic interpretation. Building the actual meaning of the sentence as a whole unit. You've got the words, the grammar. Now, put it together into a coherent thought.
And you often need context from the sentence before that one.
Definitely. Which connects to the last task.
Yeah.
But before that, task 5 is crucial, especially for fluency.
Pragmatic inference. This is the subtle stuff.
This is the top layer. Grasping the speaker's intent, the tone, the cultural context. Are they kidding? Sarcastic, downplaying something serious. It's all the meaning that's implied, not stated outright.
And that's often the first thing to go when you're overloaded, isn't it?
Absolutely. If your brain is maxed out just decoding sounds and grammar, tasks 1 to 4, there's just no bandwidth left for the really subtle interpretation work of pragmatics.
Okay, and the final task, the one that gets almost everyone with fast speech.
Memory retention, specifically your working memory. It's the bottleneck.
Right.
It has to hold the previous sentences in mind long enough to connect them to what's being said now. But if you get stuck decoding the third word,
By the time you figure it out.
the next 3 sentences have flown by. The dots disappear from your short-term buffer before you can connect them.
So doing all 6 at native speed?
It's immediate overload. The research is overwhelming on this. Something gets sacrificed, usually details, and that crucial pragmatic understanding.
And then you layer on top of that the specific challenges of American English itself, like connected speech and reduction.
Oh yeah. Our language is notorious for squishing words together. What you see written is often very different from what you hear.
Like did you, want to, going to. Nice separate words on the page.
But in speech, they change dramatically through things like elision-dropping sounds like the G in going.
Or assimilation.
Right, where one sound becomes more like the sound next to it. That's how did you often becomes did ya.
Or don't you becomes don't you.
Exactly. And this is where the system jams. Going to becomes gonna. Want to is wanna. Have to sounds like hafta.
And if your brain is searching its dictionary for the sound didba, but here's didja.
The phonetic decoding fails. It doesn't match the expected sound pattern learned from a book. You waste precious milliseconds. The whole 6-task system can just freeze up trying to decode something unfamiliar.
And the memory buffer just empties out while you're stuck.
Precisely. Just one of those little reductions can derail comprehension for a whole sentence or more.
Okay, so those are the internal cognitive hurdles, but there are external factors too, right? Things that make that first listen even harder.
Definitely. We mentioned accent adaptation earlier.
Yeah, that's a big one.
If you learn English from, say, a standard textbook recording, maybe that mid-Atlantic sound.
The news anchor voice.
Kind of, yeah. And then you encounter a strong regional accent, a Boston accent dropping R's, or a deep Southern drawl, or even just a different rhythm.
Your brain has to adjust on the fly.
And that adjustment is a cognitive task in itself. That whole first listen might just be spent recalibrating your ear to that specific speaker's sound profile, their voice, their rhythm.
Using up all your mental energy just to tune in.
Leaving nothing for the actual message, the details, the nuance.
And the other big one, cultural and idiomatic blinders. This seems tied directly to that pragmatic inference task.
It is. This is where understanding can completely collapse, even if you know all the words.
Like your example, they gave him the 3rd degree.
Right. You understand? Gave him 3rd degree. Literal meaning. Clear. But if you don't know the idiom,
then it means they interrogated him intensely.
Then the actual meaning is totally lost. You understood the words, but missed the message. And often that means missing the joke, the key plot point, the whole reason it was said.
So faced with all this, the 6 tasks, the reductions, accents, idioms, the brain does what? It finds a shortcut.
It defaults to a survival mechanism. Its defense is to prioritize the gist.
Just get the main idea.
Exactly. It filters out details, subtle emotions, underlying meanings, just to construct a basic understanding and keep you from feeling completely lost. It's efficient for survival.
But it blocks fluency.
Precisely. It's the very thing that prevents deep understanding. And the only way around it is to consciously force the brain to re-engage with the same material. Again. And again.
Okay, so if the first listen is the necessary struggle, the subsequent listens are where the magic happens. Let's get into the science of why hitting replay actually works neurologically. I really like the analogy the sources use for this, the path carving analogy. It makes it feel very concrete.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine your brain trying to connect point A hearing, say, the reduced sound wanna, to point B understanding it means want to. That first listen, when your brain is doing those 6 things at once, it's like hacking your way through a super dense jungle for the first time.
Totally exhausting. No clear path.
Right. You're fighting branches, vines, just trying to move forward. You might get a general sense of direction, but you miss everything subtle. The little stream over there, the different types of trees, the bird sounds.
That's the cognitive overload we talked about, just pure effort.
But then you go back, second pass, it's easier. You can sort of see the rough track you made. Some branches are already broken.
Okay, yeah.
By the 3rd or 4th pass, that path is getting pretty well trodden. It's clearer, you move faster, with much less effort. And this is the key part.
Your attention is freed up.
Exactly. Your mind isn't fighting the undergrowth anymore. Now it can actually notice the details, the slight changes in terrain, the different flowers, that bird song you missed before.
Which, linguistically, are the nuances, the tone, the cultural bits.
Precisely. This physical analogy lines up perfectly with the 4 neurological pillars that repetition actually builds in the brain. It transforms that struggle into something almost automatic.
So pillar number 1 is the foundation, neural pathway reinforcement.
This is pure neuroplasticity. Every time you listen to that same piece of audio, the specific brain circuits that process those exact sound sequences, that link them to word meanings, that handle the grammar, they get stronger.
Like exercising a muscle.
Kind of, yeah. The more traffic those pathways get, the wider, deeper, and faster they become.
So if your brain struggled to connect the sound hafta to the meaning have to on listen 1.
Repeating it forces that connection to fire again and again. It strengthens it until recognizing have to becomes almost instantaneous. It requires less conscious effort each time.
Making future understanding faster, more automatic.
Which flows right into the second pillar, which is huge for overcoming that working memory problem. Memory consolidation.
We said working memory is the bottleneck on the first listen. Stuff falls out.
Exactly. Repetition is how we get around that bottleneck. Information that was really hard to hold on to in short-term working memory, a specific word, that tricky didya sound, a complex sentence gets actively shifted into long-term memory with repeated, focused exposure.
So what was a frantic mental search on listen 1 becomes easy recall by listen 3?
Pretty much. It dramatically reduces the load on your working memory in the moment.
And when things become more automatic and easier to recall, that leads to pillar 3, reduced cognitive load.
This is the big payoff. This is what we're aiming for, practically speaking. As those familiar elements, the speaker's voice, common reductions like gona, core vocabulary become automatic because their pathways are strong.
Your brain literally has more processing power available.
Right. Instead of using, say, 80% of your mental energy just trying to decode the basic sounds and words. Tasks 1 to 4.
No, maybe you only need 20% for that.
And you've got 80% free to allocate to those higher level tasks.
Like pragmatic inference, figuring out the why. So on listen 4, you're not struggling with what you do and you hear it instantly.
And your brain power shifts to analyze the tone. Is the speaker rushed? Genuinely curious? Just being polite?
You're trading basic decoding effort for higher level analysis.
Exactly. And that enables the fourth neurological benefit, which is crucial for getting up to native-like speed, pattern recognition.
This sounds like the brain getting smarter about how the language actually works in practice.
It is. When you hear the same rapid speech multiple times, your brain starts identifying recurring patterns. Not just individual words, but common sound combinations, stress patterns, rhythmic chunks.
Like functional blocks of language.
Yes. It's not just noticing idioms, though, that's part of it. It's also recognizing the typical rhythm of a question versus a statement in fast speech, or how certain grammatical structures usually sound when spoken quickly.
So you stop trying to hear every single tiny word.
And you start recognizing whole phrases or meaning groups delivered in a familiar rhythm, like hearing, "I was wondering if you might," as basically one unit, not 5 separate words to decode.
That sounds like a major shift in how you process things.
It is. It's moving from decoding sounds to processing meaning chunks.
Yeah.
Repetition fundamentally changes listening from this exhausting sound-by-sound struggle into an active analytical practice. But...
There's always a but.
Yeah. The crucial thing the sources emphasize is you can't just hit replay passively while you're doing the dishes.
Right. Each listen needs a specific job.
Exactly. To get these neurological benefits, each repetition needs a different, clear objective.
Okay, so let's lay out that structure. Moving beyond just listen again to a deliberate 4-layered approach.
Right. To really make repetition work, you need this layered method. Think of it like peeling an onion or maybe examining something under different microscope lenses.
Okay. Each listen builds on the last one.
Precisely. It's designed to tackle what you missed the time before, using the automaticity you've already built.
So where do we start? Low stakes first.
Yes. Listen 1. The gist orientation.
Just get the lay of the land.
Exactly. Pure immersion. What's the main topic? Who's talking? What's the general vibe? Casual, formal, tense, funny? And the absolute key rule here, actively fight the urge to understand every word.
Let it wash over you a bit. If you get stuck, just move on.
Yes. Don't pause. Don't rewind yet. Just get a feel for it.
So questions here are basic. Who? What subject? What mood?
That's it. And what you'll definitely miss on this pass is, well, most specifics. Details, idioms, subtle emotions, fast speech quirks.
Using one of our later examples, maybe you just realize, okay, they're talking about ordering food, but nothing more.
Perfect. That's success for listen 1.
All right, now we crank up the focus.
We do. Listen 2. The details information gathering.
Now we're hunting for facts.
Laser focus on concrete information. We're deliberately trying to fill in the blanks from listen 1. Keywords, names, numbers, verbs describing actions, the sequence of events, key arguments.
So the questions change. What specifically happened? What names were mentioned? What did they actually order? What was step 1, step 2?
Pure data retrieval. You're using the slightly stronger pathways from listen 1 to make the decoding a bit easier this time.
But what might still be missing here?
Often it's still the subtle stuff. Implications, maybe some tricky vocabulary, and definitely how things are said, the rhythm, the intonation, the really fast bits.
So back to the food example. Now you know they ordered eggs and coffee.
Right. You have the data points, but you probably don't yet grasp the dynamic between the people involved or exactly how they said it.
Which brings us to the next layer, getting deeper into the language itself. Listen 3. The nuance in pronunciation, analyzing the delivery.
Yes. Now we shift focus completely. We stop worrying what was said for a moment and focus intensely on how it was said.
The music of the language.
Exactly. Intonation, does the voice go up or down? Stress, which words are punched? Rhythm, what's the overall flow? And crucially, connected speech, actively hunt for those reductions. Gonna, wanna, what do ya, did ya?
So you're training your ear to recognize the mechanics of fast speech.
You are. The questions for Listen 3 become, which words are emphasized? Why? How do sentences rise and fall? Can I pinpoint where words blend? Can I hear the emotion, sarcasm, excitement, boredom in the voice?
You're forcing your brain to connect those weird sounds back to their written forms.
Yes, internalizing the acoustic reality. You might still be figuring out some vocabulary or the deep cultural stuff, but the breakthrough here is realizing that rapid speech isn't random noise. It's often a predictable pattern of reductions and links.
Like in the diner, maybe this is where you finally decode "gonna getcha" and notice the waitress's efficient but friendly tone.
Perfect example. And that sets us up for the final, deepest layer. Listen 4. The subtext and cultural context, the why.
Okay, going beyond the words and sounds to the meaning behind them.
Right. The objective now is to transcend the literal, infer the unspoken stuff, assumptions, cultural values, inside jokes, irony, references that a native speaker would just get.
Understanding the social function of the language used.
Precisely. We ask the big questions. Why did they react that way? What's the hidden message here? What does this interaction tell us about this specific American context? Is it about hierarchy, friendliness, efficiency, something else?
This is where you really start to feel like an insider.
It's the breakthrough moment. You move from knowing what was said, listened to, and how it sounded, Listen 3, to understanding why it matters. Why it functions the way it does in that specific situation.
You get the unspoken rules of the diner, the expectations in the tech pitch, the collaborative vibe of the parent-teacher meeting.
All revealed because you peeled back the previous layers methodically.
Okay, this framework makes a lot of sense. Now let's really put it to the test with those 5 scenarios from the sources. This is where the theory meets practice. Yeah, let's spend some good time here because this is where learners can really see how to apply this layering. We're moving from just words to decoding complex social situations.
Okay, first up, the setting is key. A busy, kind of greasy spoon diner, maybe rural Ohio, 7 a.m. characters. Mary, the waitress, efficient, warm, knows her regulars. Tom, the customer, he's been here before.
Right. Listen 1. Breakfast order. Listen 2. He wants scrambled eggs, bacon, regular coffee. That's about as far as one and done gets you.
Exactly. But then, Listen 3. Reductions in tone. Mary walks up. She says, "Morning, Tom. What do you want, honey?" The usual.
On first listen, it's just a blur.
Total blur. But Listen 3 is where you actively work to connect that sound. What do you? Back to the full form. What do you? You repeat it, loop it, until that sound becomes a recognizable chunk associated with that question.
And you notice the rhythm, too. Quick, efficient.
Yeah, the sound of American service in a busy place. No time wasted, but still friendly.
And Tom orders his scrambled no cheese, side of bacon, and a regular coffee. That phrase, regular coffee, feels like a specific cultural thing.
It absolutely is. Listen 3 helps solidify it, but Listen 4 really unpacks it. In this context, regular coffee almost always means the standard, often self-serve, drip coffee. It's the default, ready for you to add cream or sugar. It's a functional shortcut term.
Okay, now listen 4. Subtext and culture. The big one. Why does Mary call him honey? In some places, that would be weirdly familiar or even inappropriate.
Right. But here, it's a crucial cultural nugget, especially common in parts of the Midwest and the South. Terms like honey, sweetie, darlin', even love, used by service staff.
And not romantic.
Not at all. They're generalized markers of friendly, familiar service. It signals warmth and routine hospitality, often used regardless of the customer's age or gender. Understanding that stops you from misreading the whole interaction.
Okay. And what about her quick question? You got a big day ahead of you. Again, that yeah for you.
Good catch on the reduction. And the function, it's not really asking for his detailed schedule. It's classic, friendly, Midwestern small-town banter.
A way to connect briefly.
Exactly. Acknowledging the daily grind, creating a moment of comfortable, routine social connection. It's part of the diner ritual. By Listen 4, you see Mary isn't just taking an order. She's performing a role efficient, caring for regulars, using predictable, warm language. Repetition took us from just eggs and coffee to the entire social dance of the diner. Okay, different world now. High-pressure setting, competitive high school English class, maybe a wealthy Boston suburb. Mrs. Davies, the teacher, is pushing hard on those personal essays for college.
Right, lessons 1 and 2. It's about writing college essays, use examples, demonstrate character, basic stuff.
But lesson 3, academic phrasing is vital here. This environment has its own jargon. Mrs. Davies calls the essay Tackling the Beast.
Tackling the beast. Okay, not a literal beast.
No. Lesson 3 helps you internalize that chunk as meaning facing a really difficult, high-stakes challenge. It's a common metaphor for tough tasks. And then she drops the absolute core rule, stressing it heavily. Show, don't tell.
That phrase gets repeated a lot in writing classes, right?
Constantly. Repetition makes it automatic. And she uses specific analytical terms. Avoid abstract adjectives. Use vivid anecdotes. These are the tools of the trade in this context.
So listen for subtext and culture. Why is show, don't tell the golden rule here? What's the underlying American thing going on?
It's tied directly to the high-stakes game of American college admissions. That essay isn't just about good writing.
It's a sales pitch, a personal marketing document.
Exactly. It's designed to reveal personality traits the admissions committees value. Initiative, resilience, leadership, individuality. Showing means providing concrete evidence of those traits through stories.
Rather than just saying, I'm hardworking.
Precisely. The subtext is that American admissions culture heavily values demonstrated character, often shown through overcoming challenges or through significant extracurricular achievements. It's about crafting a compelling personal narrative.
So when the student, Sarah, talks about her perseverance in an extracurricular, she's playing the game correctly.
She's using the expected vocabulary and demonstrating the valued trait through a story. That focus on the individual's narrative of achievement through action is a cornerstone of American educational philosophy in this context, and it might differ a lot from other cultures that value modesty or collective achievement more. Listener 4 uncovers that whole strategic layer. Okay, let's shift gears again. Much more relaxed setting. Suburban backyard barbecue, maybe Atlanta. 2 neighbors, Brenda and Carol, sharing some local news.
Lessons 1 and 2. Someone named Patty is selling her house because her husband, Mr. Johnson, got transferred for work. Basic neighborhood info.
Right, but lesson 3. Colloquialisms and emotion. This is where the flavor comes in. Brenda kicks it off with that classic gossip opener. You are not going to believe what I heard.
Lowered voice, maybe leans in a bit.
Exactly. Repetition helps you recognize that whole phrase and the conspiratorial tone as a signal. Important, juicy information coming.
And Carol's reaction, no, get out of here.
Perfect Southern-style expression of surprise. Lesson 3 is crucial for catching the pronunciation. Often it sounds like a super fast gaduda here.
Right, not literally telling Brenda to leave.
Not at all. It's a high-frequency way to say, wow, or I can't believe it. And Brenda adds another chunk. Word on the street is...
Meaning, this is the rumor going around.
Exactly. A linguistic hedge. I heard this, but I can't personally vouch for it.
Okay, listen 4. Subtext and culture. What's the deeper function here? Why is this news so shareable, so shocking?
Well, the gossip itself acts like social currency. Sharing this secret reinforces the bond between Brenda and Carol. They're in the know.
And the detail about the kitchen remodel, she just had that kitchen remodeled.
That adds the crucial shock factor. Why? Because a big remodel implies they were planning to stay long-term. It makes the sudden departure seem really unexpected and maybe even a bit tragic, raising the dramatic stakes of the story.
It makes the gossip juicier.
Totally. And the reason for the move, the husband's corporate transfer, is also key cultural context.
How so?
In suburban America, a corporate transfer often represents this kind of external, impersonal force uprooting a family from their community. It's a common narrative. Understanding this helps you grasp the neighbor's likely reaction, surprise, maybe sympathy, a shared understanding of how disruptive these things can be. You move from Patty is moving to understand the whole social ripple effect in the neighborhood.
All right, back to high stakes, but a different kind. San Francisco, startup incubator. Alex, the CEO, is pitching.
Super confident, talking fast. Lessons 1 and 2. Okay, he's got an AI software thing, sauce for the logistics industry, needs investment money.
Got it. Lesson 3. Jargon and confidence. This is like learning a new dialect.
It really is. Repetition is non-negotiable here. Alex talks about disrupting the antiquated logistics industry with their AI-powered sauce solution. First listen. Probably just a buzzword soup.
Yeah, sauce solution, AI powered.
But loop it, focus, and those become recognizable blocks. Walk us through. meaning explain. Go-to-market strategy, how they'll sell it. Capture significant market share, meaning get lots of customers fast. These are standard Silicon Valley phrases.
And the tone is important too. Alex sounds super sure of himself.
Absolutely. Quick pace, assertive language, projecting massive confidence. That's the expected delivery in this culture. Anything less signals doubt, which investors hate.
So, listen for subtext and culture. What's the real meaning behind disrupting? It's used everywhere in tech.
It's the key mantra. It doesn't just mean improving. It means radically changing or even destroying the old way of doing things.
Positioning yourself as the necessary future.
Exactly. By calling logistics antiquated, Alex frames the existing industry as obsolete and his startup as the essential modern fix. It's strategic framing.
And the investor focuses on that 18-month timeline to capture significant market share. What does that tell us?
It tells us everything about American venture capital priorities, profitability and speed of growth. That timeline signals an aggressive growth projection.
High risk, high reward.
That's the game. The investor expects huge ambition and is evaluating if Alex's plan seems credible, even if incredibly fast. Listen for reveals the whole pitch is less about the tech details and more about selling a vision of rapid, profitable market takeover, packaged in the right buzzwords and delivered with the right confident tone.
Okay, final scenario. Quieter, more collaborative setting. Middle school classroom, maybe Florida. Parent-teacher conference. Mrs. Thompson, the teacher. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, the parents. It's about their daughter, Lily.
Lessons 1 and 2. Lily's having some issues, not participating much, homework's inconsistent. But she understands the material okay.
Right. Now, lesson 3. Professional indirectness. This context requires careful, often indirect language. Notice the specific phrases Mrs. Thompson uses. She doesn't say, Lily is lazy or she's disruptive.
No, she uses phrases like lack of participation in class discussions and inconsistent homework submissions. These are standard professional ways to describe common classroom issues without making it sound like a personal attack. It's depersonalized.
And she's careful to add, not necessarily struggling with the material itself.
Crucial clarification. It frames the problem as behavioral or organizational, not intellectual. Lesson 3 helps your ear tune into this supportive but formal professional register. It's the expected way to communicate in this setting.
And her suggestion, extra encouragement at home, seems mild.
It sounds mild, but listen for. Subtext and culture reveals the expectation behind it. It's a polite, indirect, but clear request for the parents to actively step in.
It's not really optional.
Not if you want to follow the cultural script. The core value here in American education is collaboration of this is. The idea that the school and the home need to work together, be on the same page, as the phrase goes.
A unified front.
Exactly. The teacher's language is deliberately supportive and non-accusatory to foster that partnership. It's about a shared concern.
And Mrs. Chen's response shows she understands this. What else can we do to support her?
Perfect, culturally appropriate response. What can we do, signals acceptance of shared responsibility. It confirms the collaborative frame. Lesson 4 helps you understand that this meeting isn't about blame. It's about forming a strategic alliance to help the student, using specific, careful, supportive language.
Wow. Okay, going through those 5 examples really shows how the layers build up. You start with sounds and end up understanding these complex cultural interactions. But you said it has to be active practice. Just hitting replay isn't enough.
Absolutely not. Passive listening won't build those pathways effectively. You need techniques that force active engagement. #tag5. Practical techniques for supercharging your repetition practice. Right? If you're just letting it play in the background, you're missing the neurological benefits. We need active analytical focus.
So what's the main technique? You mentioned focusing on small chunks.
Yes, the focus loop technique. This is key. Don't try to re-listen to a whole hour-long podcast or a full movie. It's too much.
Find a short bit that's challenging.
Exactly. Pick a dense, tricky segment, maybe just 1 to 3 minutes long. That's your training ground. You loop that specific segment over and over.
And you apply the 4 layers to that loop.
Yes, but we add a crucial 5th step here for turning listening into speaking potential. So the 5 steps for the focus loop are: listen 1, gist; listen 2, words, details; listen 3, how it sounds, pronunciation, rhythm; listen 4, meaning nuance, culture; and then listen 5, shadowing.
Shadowing, like talking along with the speaker.
Precisely. You try to repeat what you hear as you hear it, mimicking the speaker's rhythm, stress patterns, intonation, and speed as closely as possible.
That sounds hard.
It is. but it's incredibly effective. It forces your mouth and brain to coordinate, to physically produce those tricky reductions and rhythms, the gunnas, whatches, deejas. It makes them feel more natural, not just for understanding, but eventually for your own speech.
Okay, looping and shadowing. What else? You mentioned transcription.
Yes, microtranscription. This sounds tedious, I know, but it's powerful when you're really stuck on a specific sentence or phrase.
You mean literally writing it down word for word?
Yes. Force yourself to transcribe that difficult bit without looking at a transcript first. It makes you pay hyper attention to every single sound.
And it shows you exactly where you're mishearing things.
Exactly. You'll suddenly realize, oh, that wasn't one word, it was two words blended together. Or, that tiny C's sound was actually the auxiliary verb is. Then, after you've tried, you use the real transcript strategically to check your work and see what you missed.
Okay, so transcription forces focus. What if the segment is just too fast to even start analyzing?
That's where varying your speed comes in. Use the playback speed controls on your player. Don't be afraid to slow it down.
Like 0.75x or even half speed.
Absolutely. For listen 2, details, and listen 3, pronunciation, slowing it down gives your brain those crucial extra milliseconds to perform all those cognitive tasks without getting instantly overwhelmed.
Catch the details, here are the links.
Right. And once you've grasped it at the slower speed, then you gradually increase it back towards 1x, native speed. You're building your brain's processing speed under controlled conditions.
Makes sense. You also mentioned asking specific questions.
Yes, targeted questioning. This keeps your listening active and intentional. Before you hit play for, say, listen 3 on your loop, formulate 1 or 2 very specific questions.
Not just, what's the topic?
No, much sharper. Like, what are 2 phrasal verbs used in this 90-second clip? Or what specific emotion did I hear when the CEO mentioned the 18-month target?
So having a mission for that specific listen.
Exactly. It directs your focus and stops your brain from just defaulting to the easy gist mode.
Okay, we need to be careful with transcripts, right? You said use them strategically.
Very strategically. The golden rule is don't look at the transcript too soon.
Because then it just becomes reading practice.
Precisely. Resist the urge. Try listens 1, 2, and maybe even 3 without it. Then use the transcript to verify what you thought you heard, to confirm those tricky reductions, to connect this sound wanna to the written words want to. Study it, understand the connections.
But the final check?
The final listen, the real test of whether you've internalized it, should always be without the transcript again. Can you understand it now just by hearing?
Got it. And one last technique, journaling.
Yeah, chunk journaling. As you identify these recurring useful bits of language through repetition, the idioms, tackling the beast, the phrasal verbs, the common functional phrases, what else can we do? The specific reductions, write them down.
Keep a running list.
Keep a dedicated notebook or file. These chunks are the building blocks of fluency. Review them regularly so they move firmly into your long-term memory and active vocabulary.
And the final piece of advice seems to be about mindset.
Absolutely. You have to embrace the challenge. That path-carving analogy, it's real. The first few repetitions of a tough segment will likely still feel difficult.
Don't get discouraged.
Please don't. Persistence is everything. Remember that the effort you feel now, the friction, that's literally your brain building stronger, faster pathways. It gets easier over time, but you have to put in the focused reps. You're building permanent neurological capacity. It takes time. Hashtag outro. So wrapping this up, really developing these deep listening skills through this kind of layered repetition, it requires a pretty significant mindset shift, I think.
Yeah, moving away from wanting instant understanding.
Exactly. You have to embrace patience.
Yeah.
You know that it takes time. And relentless persistence. Keep looping, keep analyzing.
And approach it with curiosity.
Yes. Genuine curiosity about the language, the culture, the speaker's real meaning, not just ticking off vocabulary words. And it demands active engagement, making listening a deliberate, focused action, not just something passive.
And being kind to yourself in the process.
Oh, definitely. Self-compassion. Perfection isn't the goal, especially not right away. The goal is progressive improvement, uncovering one layer at a time.
So the journey to really understand, it's a marathon, right? Built out of these focused little sprints of repetition.
Beautifully put. That one-and-done approach, it just leaves so much meaning on the table unexplored.
Whereas repetition, done right, it transforms your ability from just, surviving conversations
to truly thriving within them. Accessing the real, authentic, layered way Americans communicate, whether it's the careful talk in a conference room or the friendly shorthand in a diary.
Making sure you're genuinely well-informed, not just about the facts, but about the whole social and cultural world surrounding them.
Exactly. And maybe we can leave our listeners with this final thought to chew on.
Okay.
If truly understanding the nuances of language demands this kind of repeated, layered exposure to sound, well, what other areas of our lives, maybe professional reports we skim, or feedback we get in relationships, or even the news we consume, are we only processing on that superficial first listen basis?
Yeah.
And what crucial, deeper truths, what important subtext or hidden meanings might we be missing simply because we're not willing to hit the mental replay button? To listen again and analyze the delivery, not just the surface message.